Hello and welcome to App Follower. Today we're looking at OmniGraphSketcher, an application that wants to make it really easy to create and label graphs, just as easy as freehand drawing basically. So you have a y-axis and an x-axis, which makes a lot of sense for a graphing application, right? But you're not going to be putting in a long list of numbers and then the application creates the graph. You're just going to draw the graph with your finger. So you have a couple of tools up here to do that. You have an info tool that we'll get to in a second, freehand drawing tool, and an area drawing tool. This is what you mostly create your graph with. I'm gonna just create a line, and as you can see, it's really wrinkly, and then the application makes it nice and smooth. I can also make a line by tapping somewhere, tapping at another point, and then another point, maybe bring it back up, and as you can see, the application just creates this really nice graph right there. So that's kind of interesting, right? You're not putting in data, although you can go and you can select this point right here, go into the info area, and put in an exact y value and an exact x value if you want to, okay? So that does exist, it's just not how you're mostly going to be using the application. So let's look at a specific example where it might be better to have something like OmniGraphSketcher rather than numbers, for example, where you just put in a list of numbers and it creates a graph. I'm going to go to my document chooser here and select another document. As you can see, this looks very much like Numbers and Keynote and all the iWorks applications. So here is an imaginary graph I made up for a coach that's reviewing two athletes, a red athlete and a blue athlete, some performance in, an undefined unit, and weeks of training time, basically. So as the coach, you know how well they're performing, but you might not want to go and, take all their maybe these are racers, take their numbers and put them all into a spreadsheet and then take the averages, and so on and so forth. You might know, this week, this guy was definitely not as good as this guy. And if you want to show that to them or to someone else, you can just quickly do this in OmniGraphSketcher. And if you think that actually you were wrong about him, he was actually a lot better, you can pull him up just like that with that point right there. And you can add points and so on. Now you can see there are different colors. How did I do that? I'm going to select this right here and go into the info area. And I can do all sorts of things. I can, first of all, change the color down here. I can make my own color, including transparencies and so on. Any color you wish. Okay. I can also go and change what the line looks like. Okay. And I can add arrows on both ends of the line if I want to show that, it's going up, it's going down, and so on. Another thing that's up here is whether the line is as smooth as it is right now, with the points having a nice connection, or if they go just straight from point to point. So I'm going to change it to that. And this is how you would see graphs in Numbers in Keynote, but in OmniGraphSketcher you can go and make them nice and smooth if you want to, which I really like. It looks a lot nicer, more professional. So I think this was a pretty good example to show you why you would use OmniGraphSketcher rather than Numbers or Excel with a huge list of data and then get the graph as the output. In OmniGraphSketcher, you are creating the graph for the graph's sake, okay? Let's go on and show you a couple of other great features about this application, which is how to label things. I have another document over here, which is a made-up sales curve or revenue curve. And for some reason, we're pointing out the top revenue with this blue area. And you can see that there's a point down here that has a label, the start of the buy one get one free promotion. And we could go and, maybe label this point over here with the end of the product or whatever. So I can just double tap, and as you can see, it's a little bit tricky to double tap. The timing that the Omni group set here is somewhat counterintuitive. You have to be slow. Okay, so now I have a line there, I think an input line that is sort of outside of the canvas. It's completely outside the canvas, and you can see that it's not entirely perfect yet. It's a 1.0 application. I'm just going to double tap here and make a label in the middle of nowhere. Okay, here we go. And now I can just drag this over here. Anyways, so what I really want to show you is how to create these areas, which is a little more exciting. I can use this tool up here, the area tool, to create those. And the way this works is that I will take my finger and hold it down, move it over, pause at that point, and then move to another point and pause again, and it'll connect them, okay? So I'm going to do it here, and move it back over. as you can see, the application intelligently connected to the graph and made this nice corner that goes right onto the graph. And now I can enter more information right into this orange box if I want to about the promotion and so on and so forth. So that's a great way to highlight data. Another thing that you can do to adjust your graph to your specific data is adjust the canvas. So if you have nothing selected and you go into the info menu, you get the canvas information. Obviously, if I have something selected like this fill, I get the fill information, I can adjust the color and so on. It's context aware. So if I have nothing selected, I get canvas information, and I can add numbers. I can take out the numbers again. I can take out the grid that was there. I hope you were able to see that. It's sort of faint, but I can also make the grid thicker. And all of this sort of helps you to represent different types of data in a different way, and almost, I don't want to say manipulate because it has a negative connotation, but really form the data to how you want to represent it. And I can have a vertical grid, no grid at all, and so on and so forth. You can also have the background be transparent, and in that case you can take this and put it into Keynote on the iPad, and you'll be able to have a transparent background to make it work nicely with your presentation. And I'll get back to exporting in just a second. But let's finish off the possibilities with a graph that actually comes with the application to show you the options. Here you can see this is a lot more complex than the things I've been doing. And you have multiple areas pointed out, you have multiple points in time and quantities. So this is a great example, I think, to show you the power. And now if I move this up, you can see that all of these are connected to this line. So if I want to change anything, all the other fills that are attached correctly will move with it. And that's really the intelligence that makes OmniGraphSketcher so special. Lastly, let me go back to the document chooser and show you how to export stuff. It's the same buttons as in iWork. I can send it via email, send PDF via email, and send to the photos that's on the photo album on the iPad. Now, if you want the transparency, you have to send the PDF via email. After you've set the background to be transparent, you have to receive the PDF, hold on it, and copy it and paste it into Keynote. Why am I pointing this out? Because there's no other way. As soon as you save anything to the photo roll, you're not getting the transparency anymore, because the integrated photo roll only takes JPEGs, which don't have transparency. So if you want the transparency, I think here we went and we set the canvas to be transparent. Okay. If you don't have the transparent icon here, the boxes, you can go into the color and just pull the opacity down. Okay. And now if I took this document and I emailed the PDF to me and I copied the PDF as an object, just how you copy and paste anywhere, into Keynote, that's how you get the transparency. It's a little bit annoying, but I'm pointing it out because I think a lot of people will want to take these graphs and put them into Keynote or put them into a Pages document. So it's important, and the Omni group is working on making it a little bit easier so that you can just select all in the application and then copy it over. But that's going to come up in another update. Now, lastly, you can obviously go and you can make a new document, duplicate the document, and put it into the trash. One more thing, OmniGraphSketcher comes with a great documentation. If I go on this, you have all the things explained in detail. You can also directly contact support, and their support is amazing. There's no comparison between, a one-man app developer, which I'm not saying that they're all bad with support, but there's no comparison between Omni support, where you really get instant feedback or instant responses usually, and something smaller where the resources simply aren't there. Let's move on to pro and cons and buy ratings for OmniGraphSketcher. You really just have to know whether you need this application, and I hope that the video sort of explains what it is for. It's a very focused application, but once you need what it is doing, this is the best application you can get for it. Right now there's still some bugs in it, but nothing that would really prevent you from using it. The double tapping, the inability to easily export transparent backgrounds, and so on, but that's coming up. For now, I'll still give it 4 out of 5 for that. I think the price is justified, the $15 are justified. It just could all get a little bit smoother. But even though I'm taking off that one technical star, it is still a must-buy if you want to create graphs that are at the same time complex and informative, but also really beautiful. And as always, the Omni group excels at getting as close to the Apple feel in their applications as possible. It really just feels like it was done by Apple and is part of the iWork suite. As always, I hope this review was useful to you. If you have any questions or feedback, just send an email to info@appfollower.com. Have a great day and enjoy your iPad.